I'm going to outline to you three essential aspects of interviewing where there has been a relational trauma within the family. And the very first essential in our model will be the idea of respecting the integrity of the family whilst also holding the persons accountable for the misuse of power and control. And the notion of respecting the integrity of the family over time is a very important one, because the presentation of any families for help after the occurrence of incest or domestic violence is that the accompanying emotion is very often of shame. And as we clinicians well understand, shame operates as a brake in terms of being able to enter into a therapeutic conversation. You try to hide the feelings that are shameful rather than go towards them. So when we think of the integrity of the family, we're thinking about the aspects of the family in which they hold pride about themselves and about the family structure. And we very particularly interview to understand that and the integrity of the family over time, so that room can be made for these more shameful stories. And it has been our experience that that is a very useful way of thinking and opening up the space for the therapeutic relationships to develop. A second essential in practice is the notion of complexity. What we came to understand as a result of our work with children who had been sexually abused within the family or subjected to family violence, witnessing domestic violence, is that they have very complex relationships to the persons who've harmed them. And unless we make room for the complexity of their experience, we risk their not being able to say it. In other words, I can love the brother who also hurt me. I can enjoy being with my grandfather and love his sense of humor, and also be very angry at the fact that he treated me in the way that he did. And with that level of coming to terms with the fact that these relationships are not with strangers, they're with people who have often had affection and experiences of love and safety, as well as then violation. And if the experience of the positive feelings towards the person who perpetrated abuse are not given space to be talked about, they can often remain within the child in this rather shameful place of feeling like, I shouldn't love the person who harmed me in this way. And if you give them permission to talk about the complexity of their attachment, they then can understand that they can do both. They can love and they can have strong feelings about the bad things that happen to them. A third aspect of the essentials for working with families where relational traumas have occurred is the idea of helping explore the ways in which the child has made sense of what occurred. Because it's been our experience that many children blame themselves for the experience of abuse at some level, that they feel that they may have dressed inappropriately or been seductive or something really benign in terms of acting older than they are. And we want a child at the end of a therapy with us to have a very clear moral understanding of what was within their control and what was not within their control. And that even though they may blame themselves, that in fact the person who perpetrated the abuse is entirely responsible. And in that way, we feel that they have the opportunity to repair a healthy sense of self. That if they go forward thinking that in some way they brought this upon themselves, that they're at risk of not feeling entirely secure going forward, and vulnerable in some way to perhaps setting the stage for an unhealthy relationship, and not one where they're really clear about where responsibility lies.